Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Tan, and I'm here with Eric and Pei. We're going to get started here, so let me start by sharing the screen here. Okay. So go ahead and type in your questions if you have any questions during the presentation via chat box, and then we'll go ahead and address them at the end of our talk. And I think we're good to go. All right.
All right, well, thank you guys for coming. This is our kind of first try at kind of doing a little outreach and getting out to the community and talking to you guys during these kind of strange times. So I hope you find it helpful, and feel free, like Cam said, to ask any questions that you have. We'll address them at the end. So yeah, we're here with Lyngso Garden Materials to talk about kind of what we do and some of the things we can offer you guys in the landscape industry, or even if you're just a homeowner, working on your garden. So just a little bit of background about Lyngso. It's a family business. It has been since 1953. It was started by John Lyngso as kind of a material yard to store gravel and certain things that he collected through building houses. And eventually he started getting enough material that people wanted to buy it off of him. He saw an opportunity to grow a business. So ever since 1953, it's been in the Lyngso family. Terry Lyngso now is running it and has actually, within the last couple of years, turned it over to an employee-owned ESOP. So we are all now small owners of the company, which kind of goes along with what the company has always been about, which is taking care of the community and its employees. And it's always been a backbone for what we've been about. And so we have, being a family-owned business, we've had people working here for 30 plus years. And so we have a lot of expertise in the industry and on all the materials. And along with that, Can has worked really hard to make us a certified green business and moved us towards the organic route. All of our soil mixes we're working towards making fully organic. And so we really preach and practice the sustainability aspect as much as we can in this industry. That's really always been important for us. And I think Pei can talk a little bit about some of the things that we can.
Hi. Hi, thank you, Eric and Cam. Hi, everybody. My name is Pei. I'm here in charge of inventory here at Lyngso and also overseeing counter sales. So I worked here for more than 7 years. It's going on year number 8. And my major responsibility here is to source the rock and the stone material that we carry here at Lyngso Garden Materials. And the goal is to find the correct product for the right project and also provide a good enough selection for people's various needs in their landscaping projects. And we, as here at Lyngso Garden Materials, we import a lot of stone. So far, we have been importing pretty much all over the world now. We import from China, from India, from Indonesia. We have stone that's from Spain and Italy. And we're constantly looking at expanding our product offering and always sourcing interesting material. And that being said, Lyngso is the direct importer, meaning we don't work with a broker in between. We source most of our materials directly from either the quarry or the factory. That way we can bring the best cost here and then also provide a good amount of price saving for our customers. And a lot of other projects in the past, we were also able to do direct shipping, meaning we arrange the shipping and the custom clearing and all that in between and have the products go directly to job sites. If the job sites can accommodate that, that can also save quite a bit on the shipping and freight costs for the end customer. So if you have any kind of projects like that, we can definitely work on getting everyone the best costs on some unique products. And another advantage of sourcing directly from the provider is that aside from cost saving, obviously the communication is a lot smoother. We don't have to talk through a middle person. So anything we need, either pricing or product availability, lead time, or any kind of specifications on the material, we communicate that directly to the people that are producing the stone. And so the response time is quicker and it's more accurate, and we can get an answer quicker for you guys as well. And another really good part of our time or part of our goal to source directly is that we want to know what the vendors or what the producers are doing when they're producing the stone. Because like Eric mentioned, we are a certified green business. We only work with responsible couriers. So a part of our investigation into bringing any vendor on board is we go physically visit their quarry or their factory. We want to make sure that they're doing the right things, they're adhering to local regulations, and they're doing the proper quarry reclamation per environmental guidelines. And that way, we're confident that our products are adhering to regulations, and we can add more value to our product line. And if you guys have any more, questions regarding quarry reclamation or what kind of standards they're adhering to, you're more than welcome to shoot the questions to either one of us, and we'll get back to you on that.
So Eric back here. So I'm more on the sales side. So yeah, like Pei said, at the end of the slideshow, all our contact info will be there. So feel free, if you think of a question later, to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to get back to you, or like in the chat. So part of what I do here and some other salespeople here is we're really flexible and accommodating to your needs. So any kind of project you have, whether it's small or large, we can work within those parameters and kind of get you what you need at the most cost effective. We're really transparent, and we really just want to make sure that you're happy at the end of the day with what you're getting. We will, I usually work with my assigned contractors, but if you have any questions or want to reach out just for budgetary reasons, or any questions you have on installation, you're more than welcome to pick our brains, and we'll be happy to help you. We do a lot of quotes. We try to get them out, the same day or maybe the next day for your projects. That way you guys can move forward. And kind of one of the things that differentiate us is our location in the Bay Area. There are very few landscape suppliers on the peninsula. So putting us, close to a lot of the projects cuts down a lot of costs for you guys. And we can get material out to you or source material and make sure that you get it in a timely manner. It's really been a benefit for us to be really close by a lot of the projects that we work on, and a lot of the homeowners, come here on their time off and grab material whenever they can. So those are some of the things that separate us from the competition. And Pei was going to talk, or the next segment's going to be a lot of pictures and installations, and Pei will kind of go over how we sourced and came about.
I thought it might be fun just to show you guys some of the project photos. This one is a custom job in Atherton. It's a residential project. And the photos, the stone you see in this photo, all these brown colored limestone, is we specifically sourced for this project. So we worked very closely with the landscape architect to find the stone that they're looking for. And then we produced, Lyngso produced the CAD drawings, because the fabricator needs CAD drawing for all these different sizes and different pieces, what the treatments are on the surface, on the edges, the sizing, quantity. So Lyngso was able to produce all of that. Sorry, have the landscape architect sign off on it, and then the shop, the production shop received it and produced all of these different types of stone. It's a really, really awesome job. And then to see the stone in the finished project is really, really great. And also what the producer was able to do in the meantime, so they kept really good communication with us, starting from when they were sourcing the raw blocks, the raw cutting stone for this project. When they were selecting the blocks, they sent us photos. When they started cutting the blocks down into slabs, we got photos. And then when they actually finished the entire thing, they did a dry lay of the project, sent photos and measurements for approval before packing everything up and sending over to the customer. So the whole process was very transparent, and was very timely, and we were able to get all the stakeholders in that job, the landscape architect and the contractor sign off on it before moving forward with every single step. So that has proven to be a successful process for us when it comes to custom jobs. And then we have another project that we did very recently, which is another, Ken, if you want to move to the next slide, which is another residential project in Menlo Park, which the job site, they have some existing granite on site. And we were able to match that granite very closely when they were doing the expansion of that project. So if you see the photos here, the boulders, the treads, the step treads, the ledge stone, the dry stack, and then they did water features, were all of the same stone. And if you go to the next slide, there is a curved wall. The curved wall, that was the original stone on the job. And then the two other photos on the left-hand side, and the stair treads and the boulders were newer stone. That was just a very, very almost identical match to what they have. And that proven to be a very successful job. And then also Lyngso provided the soil mixes for all the plants here.
Mm-hmm. The landscape design was really just sort of a tear up and redo. And most of these plants, although they look very well established, decades old, it's fairly a new garden, and it was mostly just native soil and mixed in with some de-still compost and some mycorrhizae. And really the soil prep on site helped with the new gardens, establishing a new gardens. And you can't really tell if it was just done last year versus, 20, 30 years ago.
See, we kind of touched on some of these, but we try to get our quotes around in a timely manner. If you need any samples, you're more than welcome to request them or come on down and take a look at our yard. We're always happy to either give you samples of gravels or even small pieces of flagstone to kind of help you color match or make your decision. We work closely with contractors. So if you have any, contractors, gardeners, handymen who come in, we're happy to work with them and have them understand, kind of any limitations that there are with delivery, if they want bulk, if they want to save some money and get things all at once. We can work to kind of optimize how you get everything. Payway does a lot of quality control. We inspect basically everything that comes in to make sure that it is to our standards. And because you kind of touched on, we can, give progress photos if there's a custom job. But, I always recommend people to come down here and take a look. The yard's really friendly for anyone to walk around and take a look at what we have, because we do have a very wide selection of natural stones.
Right now, great. Leading into the next slide, we always strive to bring new products or introduce new application to existing products, so that you always have a good selection when you are either designing a product or you want to refresh your existing project. So over the years, we've carried all kinds of natural stone, meaning we have sandstone, limestone, granite, basalt and slate. We have different colors and textures within the same product type. And also application-wise, with the same stone, we normally would have paving stone, treads that go with the paving stone, copings, and then wall rock, ledgestone, both the full depth and the thin veneer. And we also have a good selection of veneer panels that is relatively quick to install and also homeowner friendly. We've seen some pictures of custom fabricated stone jobs. We are very good at sourcing new type of stone and then specifying especially sizing materials. And also we have boulders. We have a good selection of boulders in our yard. And anything that is not in stock in our yard, we can always go out and scout the stone. And then we've done in the past where either contractors or architects need to select the stone. We can FaceTime or send pictures with a tape measure, because we know not everyone can go physically to the quarry to handpick the stone. So we try our best to give as best an idea or a best of a representation of what the stone is like out there for your selection purposes. And aside from that, we have driveway cobbles. We have a lot of different kinds of pebbles, both polished, high polished ones, or just tumbled ones. We have a good selection. And then lately we started bringing pottery. So we have really big statement piece pots that can make any landscape just go to the next level. We have big sizes of them, different sizes, different colors, and we buy them at full container loads at a time, which is like 400 pots in a container, so that we really utilize that freight and then keep our costs down and keep our retail prices down as best as possible for our customers. And also we have water features, all kinds of drilled columns or drilled boulders. We also have the pumps and the tubing and all the accessories that go together with water feature stone. So yes, like Eric said, we have a very open yard, a lot of materials. If you have time, we really recommend you guys to come down here and take a look. And we always are bringing in new products. So it's, once in a while, you'll definitely find something new and interesting.
Yeah, so moving on a little bit, we get a lot of questions about kind of pathway ideas. If you don't want to do, pavers or stone, what other options are there that look nice and neat, easily to maintain? So a really popular option that we've been seeing and installing a lot of is fines, decomposed granite, or DG, some people call it. We stock 4 different colors in the yard, and we can get various other colors as well if you're looking for something more specific. And so, these are compactable, broken down stone. So it's really a much more sustainable and cheap version of a pathway than, say, doing flagstone or something that's a lot more labor intensive. So a lot of people like this. Along with, the normal fines, we do offer the option to stabilize it. It is an organic psyllium-based stabilizer that we blend in with the fines, and it prevents a lot of erosion when we get big rainfalls. It prevents that the rutting and the cutting away of the material as the water flows through it. So we do a lot of stabilized mixes for parks and municipalities and areas where there's high risk of erosion. And it's a great alternative to, say, flagstone or, non-pervious different options. So we have been selling a lot of it. It seems like a very popular option lately. And it's just another thing that you guys can install into your yard.
And then the one thing that is really important is a lot of the contractors always have questions about installation with the pathway fines and stabilized pathway fines. What we've done is if you go on our website and just click on more information, there's clear instructions on the actual application of the stabilized fines. And it's really important to follow that for the longevity of the fines. Because it has to be done in lifts and in a certain way, and when it's not raining, and it needs time to cure. So those are all sort of important in order to establish that path to be solid. With that said, we'll go into organics. So as many of you may know, Lyngso is known for carrying a really good selection of organic products, and a lot of our soil mixes, in-house soil mixes, are CDFA OIM listed or OMRI listed for organic use. And we don't have anything that is synthetic or chemical. That includes all the fertilizers as well. So the fertilizer line that we carry is down to earth, and it's mostly all organic and natural. So if there are jobs where synthetic fertilizers or binders are requested, we're more than happy to recommend alternative organics for the projects. And we carry a BASMA biotreatment mix as well. So if you're working on city or county projects that require a certified biotreatment mix, we can mix that for you. And we also have roof mix, and we can do custom soil mixes with our custom soil mixing machine that we have. Really precise machine where we can meter out the compost, even add fertilizers to the mix or mineral components to the mix very accurately. And it has a very thorough blend, so we're not buck and turning and having clumps of fertilizers and other ingredients within the mix. So any custom mixes, we're happy to work with you on your projects. And if your project even specifies, say, for example, saturated bulk density for roof mixes, we can work with you on coming up with a mix that can meet that spec. And of course, the compost that we carry are all organic, and a lot of liquid fertilizers like kelp and fish meal, are also available, and the compost tea. So the actively aerated compost tea, it's something that we brew in-house. And if you're interested, just shoot me an email at the end of the talk and I can add you to our compost tea email list. And when we brew, an email will go out, and you're more than welcome to stop by Lyngso and pick that up. And it's not every time that we brew, it's really weather dependent. And the compost that we get for that particular tea, it's really based on the soil food web, and it's a high quality compost. So when we have that available, we'll start brewing the tea as well. And sandy loam, I just want to cover that. So it's a topsoil import soil. So currently the sandy loam that we carry, it's a virgin sandy loam, and it's a very finite resource, not very sustainable in the long run. So in the very near future, we're going to have to explore recycled topsoil for a lot of the soil mixes. And it's going to be a challenge for everybody around us here, because there is no topsoil to mine anywhere really. And with the environmental regulations, we really ought to be switching over to something that is recycled, something that is already been used. So a lot of these sandy loam products are coming from basement excavations or verified non-toxic, essentially, construction sites. So we're exploring several different options with that moving forward. So stay tuned. If you're interested in more details regarding that, again, just feel free to ask a question later on or shoot me an email. And then all our soil mixes have analysis that is posted on our website. So composts and soil mixes, if you go into individual product website, a product page, you'll see more information and click on that. And it's a PDF document that'll show you our current analysis for all the soil mixes. And if you want a historical data of all our soil mixes, I'm happy to send that to you as well. You just have to email me or give me a call and I'm happy to share that with you. So we're very transparent with everything that we do here, especially when it comes to organics and the soil mixes and compost. So I'll quickly talk about the 3 different composts that we have. Technically, we have 4. The last one I didn't add onto the slide here, but I'll talk about it anyway. So the most popular compost that we have is the de-still compost. You heard me talk about it in the project earlier at the start of the presentation here. So that compost comes from de-still turkey farms. So it's turkey manure-based compost. It's composted for several months. It's well cured, highly nutriently dense compost, and it's sort of like the gold standard of compost, essentially what we recommend for vegetable gardens, organic certified farms, and fruit trees, and any sort of a high yielding plant that you're growing. The Oregon Bowl, the humus, it's cattle manure based, and it's also a finite resource. It's not technically compost. It's just cattle manure that's been composting for decades, and it's from south of Oregon. And it's a finer texture humus, unlike the de-still compost and any other compost. So the texture itself is very fine, and the microbiology makeup is slightly different because it has been aged for decades. And then the third one is the garden compost, which is the municipal yard waste compost, the green waste that we throw away that the municipality composts. So it is sort of a hot compost, meaning that you sort of want to be careful when you use it. You don't want to plant in it right away. You want to just lay it out to cool, and then you can, blend it into your native soil. Really good compost for, just sort of low maintenance garden and shrubs and things like that. So it's probably sort of like the lower end compost, and it's really just a great compost for erosion control, side of a hill, planting trees and things like that. However, for vegetable garden, I do recommend getting de-still, or the 4th compost, which is not listed here, is called a web branch compost. That's a horse manure based compost. Coming from Web Branch and near Stanford. And that one you could also incorporate for your organic gardens, because it is also listed CDFA OIM for organic use. So you've got 4 different composts at 4 different price points. So depending on what your planting plan looks like, we can recommend the correct compost for your project. And then we'll move on to the soil mixes. So these are sort of our standard soil mixes that we have on hand. I'll start with the amendment mix. It's sort of the garden compost and redwood sawdust. So if you're just doing a general amending for new landscapes or new gardens, probably best to go with the amendment mix. We also have the landscape mix. The only difference between the amendment mix and the landscape mix is that the landscape mix has the sandy loam incorporated within the soil. If you're amending your native soil, oftentimes you can just go with the amendment mix and not the landscape mix, because oftentimes we already have sandy loams in our native soil. The biotreatment mix, I spoke about it briefly. It's BASMA certified. If you're working on bioretentions, bioswales, I do recommend that soil mix particularly. And the essential soil is really made for raised planter beds. Any vegetables that you're growing, any sort of high yield plants that you're growing, you want to use the essential soil. And that one is interesting because It does have gravel added to the mix intentionally, as well as mycorrhizal fungi and a biology packet, just because we want to get the roots to grow and the rocks sort of act as a mineral component, and it's a spacer for the soil to not only not compact, but also drain freely. So it's really important to have that mineral content within the soil for raised planters. So anything over 6 inches in height and you're bringing in new soil, I would probably be recommending the essential soil for your project. And if you're growing in-ground vegetables and you want to just kind of add a little bit more soil to your fruit trees and stuff, you could use the Lyngso vegetable blend. It is CDFA OIM listed for organic use. So that one does not have gravel or lava or anything in it. So it's just vegetable blend, mostly organic matter. Great mix. And usually in the winter time, right now, we have a shortage of diesel compost. So we try to blend our vegetable blend and keep it in stock most of the time. However, with essential soil, we may be substituting either the Oregon bowl compost or garden compost to be mixed into the essential soil and add a little bit of feather meal and shrimp meal to substitute the nutrients that's present within the soil. The potting mix has horticultural lava, sort of a lighter weight mix compared to the essential soil. You can use it in pots and containers, and even in-ground planting sometimes you could use that. You know, if you're digging up your native soil and you want to make a hole and fill in some mixture, often people would mix the potting mix into the native soil sometimes, depending on what you're planting. And then the rhododendron mix is really for our acidic plants like azaleas, camellias, and rhododendrons as well. And that's sort of a specialized mix that we carry, and it's more bark heavy rather than soil heavy. So it does have compost in it and lots of bark. So you could use that for your acidic planting. And the roof mix, typically for, you know, on structure planting, and there are various different roof mixes depending on what your application is. So ours is technically not a lightweight roof mix. It does have a pretty high saturated bulk density of about 80 pounds per cubic foot or something like that, plus or minus 10 pounds. But if you're really wanting something lighter than that, we can work with you to come up with something for the project. And then I briefly talked about the sandy loam. So I'm just gonna leave that there. We do have the sandy loam as a component for a majority of our soil mixes that we mix here. And I'll cover mulches. So these are the 9 sort of mulch, and we actually have one more missing on this slide here. We have 10 in stock mulches, and the ground redwood bark is often known as the gorilla hair. That one is pretty nice to use indoors in pots and things. It's sort of fibrous. In large outdoor application, I would caution if it's a windy area not to use that mulch, and not really recommended for large projects and things. So the 2 colored mulch that we carry are the mahogany and the mocha chip, and they are dyed with ferric oxide, which is an iron oxide dye. It's a natural colorant. And if we were to deliver that on your brand new driveway or anything that is, you know, concrete or cement or something, it may stain, but the stain is non-toxic. So we do recommend putting a tarp down when you're getting these products delivered at your site, job sites. And the mini mulch and the small fir bark are single source mulch. It's Douglas fir, and it's our top most or popular products. So small fir bark and mini mulch. Mini mulch is really, really great for vegetable gardens. You can turn it in, turn the mulch in this season after season as a soil amendment. I like to use mini mulch in the vegetable gardens, and small fir bark is slightly larger than that, so it takes that much longer to decompose. But if you want a mulch that decomposes quite fast, I do recommend the mini mulch. And then the premium arbor mulch, that one is a conglomerate of various different urban trees. It's trees that are cut down and pretty much disease-free, and they don't have any toxins in them or anything hazardous in them. So it's just it doesn't have consistently the same trees since they are urban trees. So it's just a mix of them. So it's great for sheet mulching or pathways and hillside for erosion even, because it has fibers, barks, and the wood chips. So it really does net together quite well. And the walk-on bark, it's great for pathways as well. It's really large pieces of mulch, so it'll take quite a long time to break down. So it's great for pathways. And then the wood chip is really the heart of the redwood. And it's really pale in color. The playground fiber is a smaller version of that, and it's tumble. It's also redwood. However, the playground fiber does not splinter, and it's approved for playground application like school playgrounds and public playgrounds, or even your backyard playground. So the wood chips will splinter, but the playground fiber will not, and they're sort of very similar in color. And they're both redwood. And the mulch that's not on the slide is shredded cedar that we currently, we recently brought in. We also have that. So a lot of folks really like cedar, and the texture is sort of similar to, it's a very fibrous sort of texture with some barks in it as well. And if you want to know more about that, you can just go on our website. I think it's on there now. So, okay, so we'll move on from mulch, and I just want to cover the lead products really quickly. Lyngso does carry a whole bunch of products that are lead qualifiable, so you can use them for, if you're working on your lead projects, you can use them for regional and local materials credit or recycled credit, or urban heat island effects. So if you're interested in knowing more about the products that will qualify, do reach out to me, and I'm happy to just give you more details on those particular products that we carry. Okay, so community resources. I'm gonna cover this real quickly. So this is one of the community resources that we provide is educational workshops. So every Wednesday around this time, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific time, we have classes on various different topics, and most of them are recorded, and we've started putting them on our website. So if you're interested in learning about any particular topic, go ahead and search for that on our website, and you can view a class of it. And we're going to continue that every Wednesday throughout the year. So look forward to more of those classes. And if you're signed up to receive our emails, you'll get the email blast that I'll send out of upcoming classes, and you can register there. And then in our community resource, you could also find blogs and articles that we've posted regarding various different hardscape ideas and gardening ideas and DIY ideas. And if you have any particular topic that you're interested in knowing more about, just write to us, and we're happy to just produce an article and put it on the blog for you, or we'll find somebody that's an expert in that area, and we'll get back to you with the answers. And then online, maybe Payway, do you want to talk about the online ordering?
Yes, thank you, Kim.
Yeah.
So when you guys do head to our website, we have a lot of information there. And if you, I know some of the architects and contractors are always looking for spec sheets. If we have spec sheets, we have them in the more info or more info section under that particular item. And if we have testing, we do quarterly testing, the testing results will be there too, under any of the soil mixes items. And for all of our bulk material, you can place the order there as well. You can figure out your quantity. There's a calculator there to help you with calculating how much quantity you need, and then you can add that quantity to cart right then and there and place the order online, just like Amazon. And then someone from the sales office will give you a call back to confirm the delivery date and time. Maybe not time, but the delivery date for sure. And then for delivery time, you'll need to call back the day before the delivery date to get an actual delivery time, because we don't make up our delivery schedule until the day before. And then for customers who have AR account or house charge accounts, when you make up an online account, we get the notification, we can link the account for you, and from there you will be able to see your past purchases, and hopefully pay bills online.
Yeah. AR accounts you can create, if you're a small business owner or a contractor, you can request an AR account, and then we'll have our accounting link all the bills, and you can pay the bills directly from the website. So yeah, that's definitely a possibility. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm gonna leave our contact information here, but I'm gonna open it up to any questions you may have. I know there are a couple questions that just came in here. Let's
do you want to unmute it, or how do you want?
Yeah, you can unmute yourself. You should have that ability now. And you're more than welcome to ask any questions. Let's do it this way. Okay. All right. So we have a question in the chat. It says, do you have any suggestions for fire-resistant mulch mix? My area requires 30 feet clearance from building for bark mulch. Okay. That's a good question. We don't really have anything that's truly fire-resistant mulch. The reason for that is really all wood products are prone to catch fire. So it's sort of a hard thing to put out, and maybe there's a fire retardant spray or something that's available in the market, but I would hate to recommend that for any natural products, really.
I don't know what qualifies as mulch.
Yeah.
Because rocks can also be mulches.
Yeah.
I would recommend
to be truly fire resistant.
A gravel mulch would probably be your best option. We do have some inexpensive gravels that you could use if it's an area that's not exactly visible, and if it's a large area, then I would probably recommend using a rock mulch if there's fire involved, because all the wood products, there's just no guarantee. So yeah, I'd say gravel is probably the way to go.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So, any other questions? Okay. Alrighty. What kind of borders do you carry? Do you have steel borders? Or are you still carrying mushroom compost? Well, we don't have the steel borders. We do have a bender board, which is recycled plastic. And that's the only kind of border edging that we carry. And then we don't carry mushroom compost. The 4 composts that I had mentioned earlier are the only ones that we carry now. We used to at one point did carry mushroom compost, and it got to be just really a nuisance with the smell, and it just didn't, it wasn't feasible to carry it long term. Okay, any other questions?
Well, I have one more. You have shown on your website a kind of a egg carton type of plastic that gravel can be put into for
gravel. Yeah. Hey, we can talk to that. Yeah.
Yes.
You still have that, correct?
Yes, we have 2 grades. One is for walkways, the other one for driveways. So one is thinner for walkways, and then one is thicker so that vehicles can drive on it. that one was, the driveway one is not ADA compliant, but we can order even thicker ones that are ADA compliant, and we've sourced that one to other jobs before. It's just we don't stock that one.
Okay, so that is permeable, a permeable surface, correct?
Yes,
Whereas the fines, the sand, the different kind of fines you have are not really permeable.
right. So in order, well, basically, if you use the core gravel, you fill it with gravel. And as long as the base underneath the core gravel is permeable, the whole thing is permeable.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Great question.
Yeah, and the permeable base is, you could use a couple different things. We have a class 2 permeable base rock, which is a recycled permeable base rock, and we have 3/4 inch drain rock, which doesn't have a lot of fines, and it's angular gravel. And oftentimes when you're installing permeable driveway, that's typically what you would use, is using some sort of a gravel without any fines that makes it permeable underneath, whether you have path fines on top or gravel on top or even pavers on top. So it's really important underneath to have the base material be permeable also.
I'm looking for like wheelchair accessibility on that on a pathway. And that would be would work for the egg carton?
Yes,
Yep.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would just say, choosing the gravel is important for that. Not picking something that's, too large, that could be a little awkward. But it gives you a lot more options of kind of surface gravel that you can use. You can use kind of like a round gravel that you wouldn't normally be able to use without the core gravel. It basically kind of holds it in place, and it prevents a lot of, rutting and in areas where, you're turning wheels and things like that, it'll stay a lot more stable than without it. We have in our display garden, we have a small area where it is installed. So you can come out there and take a look and feel the difference. We have people in high heels walking around there on gravel, and we had events out there. So we can definitely attest that it does make a difference if that's what you want to go for.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, well, looks like there are no other questions. I think we'll conclude here. And if you do have any other questions, feel free to email us. I'll go ahead and send out our contact information. If you have any other future questions, we'll be happy to answer them. And I just want to thank you all for being here, and happy Wednesday.
Yeah, stay safe, everyone. And thank you for coming to our first kind of webinar.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.